Report. I'm your host, Stephanie. Shout out to Simeon Russell, the creator of this channel, for making this show possible. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live. That includes the Queen's Court, of course, NBA Report, the crossover that I co-host with Tony Crow, and of course, the last but not least, all of Sim shows, pregame, postgame, the morning shoot around, any videos, any news that may drop from the Knicks. So definitely hit that notification button. You don't want to miss anything. The season is about to start, and MBK goes hard during the season. So you don't want to miss anything. Tonight, we're talking about the upcoming Knicks season. And basically, I'm going to ask the panel to what's their confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 for the different areas of this Knicks team's offense, defense, bench, coaching, playmaking, rim protection. We're going to get into all of that. I'm joined today by Simeon Russell himself, the creator of MBK. Stafford Don is here with us
Yes,
as
sir.
well. And DJ Shuttle putting in them panel hours. He doing all right.
All aboard.
Been pretty consistent. How's everybody?
I'm
Good.
blessed. Can't complain, man.
All right. Well, training camp is about to start. I want to say 2 or 3 more weeks. It's about to start. Sorry about that. Just want to move my notes over. It's about to start, and if nothing else happens, this is our roster going into camp. It's a balanced roster, of course. There's probably 2, and at some positions 3 NBA players at every position. So I just want to get right into it and just kind of ask you guys on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence level in these areas? I'll just put this up for here. We don't have to keep it up. But we're going to go over scoring, shooting, free throw shooting, ball movement, point guard play, feel for the game, mental toughness, individual and team defense, rebounding, assist, playmaking, rim protection, bench scoring, bench defense, bench ability to hold and increase leads. Because when we talk about our bench, we talk a lot about their scoring, but the bench defense and the ability to hold and increase leads is an important part of the bench as well. Our ability to close games, and then the coaching, which a lot of the fan base probably think I should put first, but I put last. All right. So let's just start off with scoring. And again, I don't need to keep this up. What's your confidence in the Knicks' ability to score? Now, last season, we were ranked, our offensive rating, I want to say, was in the 20s. Yeah, was somewhere in the 20s. Do you think it's better? Do you think it's worse? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence in the Knicks' ability to score this season? And shout out to the chat, all of those that's rocking with us tonight. Sim, we'll start with you and come around while I get that offensive rating.
I think I'm at about a 7 right now. That's why I'm with him now, I think. Because I mean, I believe in Brunson's ability, to lead and to run the offense.
Mhm.
But we still got to see how it meshes. Is Randall going to be able to shoot it from the outside so it opens up the floor? Is RJ going to be able to shoot it from the outside so that it opens up the floor? Because we know Mitch isn't going to be able to. Right. So we want lanes for Brunson to be able to penetrate and get inside. We need RJ,
Right.
And Randall to be able to knock it down from the outside, to at least help with that. I don't think that's the only determinant that's gonna, or the only factor that's gonna determine whether or not he can get to the basket. Is if they're comparable from the 3-point line, even if they're not shooting at 40%, but they're shooting at 34, 35%. Teams are going to respect them, and that's still going to open up the lane for Brunson.
Right.
But they're shooting at 31%.
Right.
Teams are going to respect them a lot less, and they're going to chance him and say, well, let's see if they can get hot. If they get hot, then we'll respect it and get out to the line. But if they don't get hot, then, we'll clog the lane, and cut off those driving lanes. So I'm about a 7 with the offense right now. Plus, Tom Thibodeau's got to use all of his guys.
That yeah, that is correct. And the thing about it is, and we talked about this when Brunson was in Dallas, they had shooters.
Right.
They had shooters all around him. And Brunson, he can shoot the three, don't get me wrong, but he operates very well in that key. And them having Dorian Finney-Smith and even their five, I forget his name, starts with a K, I want to Kleber or something like that. Like they were able to, yes, space the floor. And so he was able to get into the key and kind of, do his thing. I'm wondering if, like you're saying, to your point, the Knicks are not shooting well, not shooting the three well, to the point where the team doesn't respect it. That closes up lanes for Brunson. Our scoring could be even worse.
Right.
And yeah. Stafford, what's your confidence 1 to 10 on the Knicks being able to score? And one, do you think is going to be better or worse than last season? Our offensive rating was 110.4. I want to see where it ranks with the rest of the NBA. I believe it was in the 20s.
I gotta probably go with a 7 also too, just because I don't know how it look as yet. I still think it's maybe an inside outside game. Depending on if Randall scores the ball inside a lot more efficiently, and the outside shooters, the outside shooters, the wings, we don't know who's starting yet on that wing, but we know Bronson can hit the three. So I think it should be easy in a sense where once we dump the ball to Randall, most of the defense is going to give him more of the attention. He's because he's still that guy. So once he makes the right decision, swing the ball and pass it to wings, hopefully we could score. But yeah, I'm gonna go at a 7 also too.
Okay. DJ Shaw.
I gotta be honest. Individually, Brunson, RJ, and Randall, I'm good with them. But all my years of playing and coaching and watching basketball, I've never seen a starting lineup with 3 left-handed players. Something about that I mean, you got 5 right-handed players. Why can't you have 3 left-handed players? Like, I get it in theory, right? But I don't know, something about that. I just can't really, I can't get past that. So that's kind of number 1 for me. Number 2, with a center that can't shoot beyond a layup or a dunk, and players like Randall, Brunson, and RJ who are best at driving to the hoop, and really only one shooter on the whole team that you can say is proven himself to be a shooter on the NBA level, Evan Fournier. I'm just not there's a reason why our expectations are like 9 or 10 seed. There's a reason. You know what I mean? If the offense was this potent and this incredible, we got an echo there. I'm not sure if that's okay. Good. Yeah, if the offense was that potent, we'd be looking at a higher projection, in the Eastern Conference. But I mean, I don't know. Mitch can't make a shot other than a layup or a dunk. The lanes are going to be clogged. As already mentioned, Brunson's featured ability is getting to the hoop. You don't have bona fide shooters that he can dump it to and open the lanes for him. So I can't really get past the 6.
Okay.
I can't really get past the 6.
Do you think the offense, though? Okay, so we were ranked 23rd last year in offensive rating out of 30 teams. Do you think that's better, the same, or worse?
I think last year's offense was like a 5.5.
Oh,
So, you know, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. I
so
mean,
it's better.
look at the teams. Look at the teams that are below it. You know what I mean? The teams that below it are like teams that weren't even fighting for the play-in, really. So, you know, yeah, there may be a slight bump. There may be a slight bump, but I just, listen, we're predicted to be like a 9 or a 10 seed. There's a reason why.
I mean, I actually think it's going to be better.
The offense. You think the offense is going to be better?
I think the offense is going to be better, but there's a few things that I'm betting on. I'm betting on Randall returning to being more efficient than he was last season. I'm betting on RJ being a bit more efficient as well. I'm betting on Brunson being able to get Mitch more involved in the offense. Now, of course, it's going to be lobs. He's not going to be hitting hook shots or turnaround jumpers or anything like that. But I can't tell you how many times Mitch was missed in our offense. Like he was right there, and we would either take the shot or pass it and miss him and not see him. So I think that we're going to take advantage of that more. And I think Brunson himself will be able to get a shot. But I get it. If the worst case scenario, if those guys are not, getting, if RJ and Randall are not better at hitting a 3-point shot and teams decide to stay in the key and just let them have whatever opportunities they get, that is going to make it harder for Brunson to get in the key. That's going to make it harder for Mitch to get those, those lobs. But I'm banking on RJ and Randall being a bit more efficient this season. Now, Randall was never really a good 3-point shooter, except for that one year. So what's better, going from 30 to 33?
I'm expecting more. I'm expecting more of what Randall's done all of his years, minus the that 1 year. So he shoots 32, 33. Be thankful for that.
I don't even think it's that from three. Yeah. Any yeah, guys.
I don't understand, and I know Shuttle said, if you got 5 right-handed guys, it's the same thing. But I don't understand what people's fear is when you got 5 right-handed guys. It's the same thing. But I don't understand what people's fear is when you got 5 right-handed guys. It's the same thing. But I don't understand what people's fear is when you got 5 right-handed guys. You got an echo somewhere. I don't understand. We good?
That was me.
Oh,
I got it open on the side, and I didn't have it muted. Sorry about that.
But yeah, about the left-handed players. So what is the fear of the left-handed players? That's what I want to know.
Well, listen, I'm not gonna say like I have some detailed, analysis or like it's just kind of one of those things where like you can't really explain it, but it's just I don't know why I don't want to go. I just don't want to go. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things where I can't say it can't work, but something about it just players that are left. Like to me, when you have one left-handed player, like it's a great little quirk, little different twist to add to the team. You know what I mean? And the little challenge to defenses, because traditionally you're trained to play and defend everything going to the right. So if you have one, cool. It's like, all right, something a little different. But 3 left-handed players that all dribble to the left. I'm just, I hope it's something different that works, but something about it just leaves me a little concerned.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, because I feel I'm right-handed, but if you got 5 guys on the court that can't go left, and they can only go right, then you got 5 guys on the court that's going right. I mean, I think it's kind of the same thing, and I agree with some of the people in the chat. It may be to the Knicks' advantage because most players are used to guarding right-handed players. So now you got 3 left-handed players that you got to guard. I know. I mean, I still play ball, right? But when I was younger, and we had to guard like 3. If there was 3 left-handed guys on a team, I was like, oh man, what I'm saying? Now we got to guard 3 lefties because you're so used to, the way that you defend the players. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna just leave it as I hope it's an advantage.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because and you're not the only person that has said that. I was talking to someone the other day, and there was like 3 left-handed players, and I'm like, right, 3 left-handed players. I mean, I don't know.
5 right-handed players.
I mean, yeah, right. 5 right-handed players. I just don't understand what the difference is.
Well, I'm more concerned with the clogging. I'm more concerned with the clogging of the lane than that. I'll leave it.
Yeah, I hear that. Like in football, when people say, you're guarding, you got a left-handed quarterback or right-handed quarterback. I get it because you have more players, you have more of your offensive linemen trained to protect that left side, right?
Right.
Because so many quarterbacks are right-handed, so you have your linemen trained to protect that left side of the floor. I mean, field. So when you got a left-handed quarterback now, oh man, I got to make sure my lineman can protect the right side. Because the quarterback has his back turned to the right side. I get it, but in basketball, I don't get it as much.
Fair argument. And as a defender, if I'm not used to defending lefties as much as I'm used to defending righties, maybe I'm not as well prepared to defend it.
Hopefully that works for us.
Hopefully it's an advantage.
I mean, I think the big issue is if you can only go left, but that's the same if you can only go right. You limit it. You got to be at least adequate with the other hand. So if they're adequate with the other hand, I think that helps. Like even when you think about a right-handed player, they take most of their shots predominantly on the right side. However, if you press them, they can go to the left and lay it up. And I think it's the same for left-handed players as well. They may prefer the left side of the court, but if they're pressed, they need to be able to put the ball on the floor and finish with the other hand.
I'm right-handed. I actually prefer to go left because I can come back to my right to pull it up.
I was the same way. It was everything dribble left and pull up, or right. I could either lay with the left or reverse with the right. Yeah. But it just seems like you have, and I mean I know people say RJ's like a righty, but shoots with the left. But it just seems like the left-handed players that we have anyway are not as adept at shooting with the right hand. But
vice versa, shooting with or finishing at the rim.
Finishing.
Right. Finishing. Okay.
Yeah. Finishing is an issue.
Yeah, it is. That's going to be huge for both RJ and Randall. But I think RJ needs to take a huge leap because that's where he takes most of his shots. So I'm hoping for a huge leap there. All right. So the offense we think is going to be, other than shuttle, we think is going to be. Now, Sim, you said 7. Is that a little better than it was last year or about the same?
I mean, based on last year, I guess it's a little better because the Knicks were like bottom of the league, right? So I guess that's better than last year. Yeah. And, after a couple of preseason games, and I look at it again, I might think of something different. But yeah, right now I'm at a 7.
Okay. All right. And Stafford, I know you said 7 as well. That's better than last year or about the same? All right. We'll get to him next time. All right. Let's go back. Let's go. Next is shooting, which is different than scoring, right? Scoring is just putting the ball in the basket. Doesn't matter how. Now we're talking about specifically. We're not talking about layups here. We're talking about being able to shoot the ball and really I should have separated it out into 2-point and 3-point shooting, but we'll talk about it together. You guys can separate it out um, in your comments. So how confident are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in the Knicks being able to shoot? And is that better? Whatever score you pick, do you think the shooting will be better, the same, or worse than last year? We'll go the other way this time. DJ Shutter, we'll start with you.
Well, I know Burks may not be the number one guy from last year in the eyes of many people, but he was actually a clutch shooter more often than not. And I don't have his percentage in front of me. I don't know it, but it was certainly better than Randall and RJ from three anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I don't know if I see Brunson as like a huge upgrade shooting percentage wise over Burke. Fournier's coming back at 40. RJ and Randall, they're shooting 30% from three. Mitch doesn't shoot. I like having Hardestein in the team. Bringing in the center that can shoot, who will probably, if I had to guess, split or close to split minutes at center. I'm going to say he allows me to make it a 6 and not keep it anything lower than that. But, you got Reddish off the bench. We really only have two guys, Fournier and Grimes, that I feel like are really, truly going to be respected shooters. I know IQ can shoot. I know he bombs it from deep. I know he gets hot. But, he's a 39% field goal shooter in 2 seasons. So you guys got to relax a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna be at a 6 again on shooting.
Now, is that better than last year or about the same?
For me, it's about the same. Really, the only difference the only two differences that we have is Brunson in place of Burks and Hardestein in place of Noel / Taj Gibson. The rest of the lineup is still the same. At this point, I can't project and give Obi, IQ, and RJ and Randall the benefit of the doubt they're gonna jump up 5, 6, 7, 8% from the field. They haven't earned that.
Okay. All right. Sim, when it comes to shooting?
I think I'm at about a 6 right now too. I can really only go by last year and what they did last year. I do think that they got better. That being said, I think last year we were probably at a 5, right? But we got better in shooting, I think, with Jalen Brunson, who I think can, has a good pull up, can knock down a mid range shot. He can knock down the 3. Hartenstein can knock down the 3. Right? We didn't have a center last year that could knock down the 3, so that's definitely an improvement there. I'm expecting Julius Randle to shoot better on the 3-point line this year. I'm not expecting him to shoot 42%, but I'm expecting him to shoot better, between 33 and 35%, somewhere in between there. I'm expecting RJ to shoot better this year as well. He wasn't terrible last year.
Right.
I think he was around 35%, so he wasn't terrible, right? So I'm expecting him to shoot better. As far as, I think Evan Fournier is going to be Evan Fournier. As far as Obi and Quickly, I'm not sure yet. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like with Quickly, I'm not sure because, he's just erratic in his shot selection.
Correct.
So, I think that plays a lot into his shooting percentages. And then Obi, I still feel like his confidence wavers in and out. We'll see if he can pick up from what he did at the end of last season. You know what I mean? But, his confidence kind of wavers in and out so far that we've seen him over his first 2 years in the league. So I'm not sure. Think about those two guys. Quentin Grimes last year shot like 38% from the field. From the 3-point line, but wasn't so his from the field was still like 40% from the field itself.
Mm-hmm.
And Evan Fournier is kind of the same way, like 40% from the field itself. So I'm not sure what Grimes is with the pull up and knocking down the mid-range shot, but we know he can knock down the three. I do think the Knicks have gotten better. I don't think it's great until they prove it to me. So I'm going about 6 with the shooting.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree, and I don't know if it's going to be better than last year. Burks was a decent 3-point shooter for us. He's out. He's not on the team anymore. Now, quickly, he was 39% overall, but from 3, he was 36.5. I want to say that was league average or maybe right below league average. And I agree with you, Sam. It's about his shot selection. If he takes better shots, his efficiency, his field goal, his 3-point field goal percentage goes up because most of his shots are 3-point shots. Right. So if he's, taking good shots, that can easily go up. David, shout out to David for rocking with us. He makes a good point about Grimes. Grimes takes more shots, like we saw in the summer league. The more shots he took, the less efficient he was.
Mhm.
Now, what I'm hoping is that all of his shots will be the same on this team. It'll be just catch and shoot. And he's pretty good in the catch and shoot, whereas in summer league, it was catch and shoot. It was off the dribble. He was really trying to do a lot, and that brought his efficiency down. But maybe reducing his role to just a catch and shoot guy, his efficiency, even though he's taking more shots, it's the same types of shots, catch and shoot. And so hopefully his percentage will get better. But that's a concern of mine, the shooting. With RJ, Mitch, Julius, all of those guys operating best below the 3-point line and some below the foul line, best below the foul line. But yeah, I guess I will go with 6 as far as the shooting, but I might even go 5. As far as the shooting, because when you think about Bonafide, Grimes, and his sample size was short too, and Fournier, who I think is Bonafide. IQ, hopefully, that gets better. RJ, hopefully that gets better. Randall was never a 3, but I'm not even counting on Randall 3-point shooting wise. He's at a career, I want to say 30%
Something
3-point shooter, something like that. So I'm not even counting on him for the 3. Hartenstein, all right, he has a good percentage, but he only took 30. So if the volume goes up, does his efficiency, come down? Decrease, that's possible. So I'm gonna say 5 points. I'll split the difference. I'll say 5.5. I think shooting is a big concern. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think not having those floor spacers has the potential to really stall our offense?
Yeah.
I think it does. Right? It can. Also, I think a lot has to do with where you put players on the floor as well, though. Even if they're not shooting at a super high clip, if you put players in the right spot and they're at least respectable, which most of the guys are at least respectable, then they're gonna have to respect it, right? Because we know that he can knock it down. So I got to make sure that I get out here on this player if they get the basketball. I got to make sure that I'm within, an earshot of being able to close out to this guy. So I think, you can still space the floor. You can still space the floor, but it does make it tougher when the floor is spaced. Guys are going to get in the lane. They're going to close out. When you kick it out, if they're not hitting it, you know what I'm saying? Then it's just going to make it. It's gonna slow down your offense if they're not hitting it, right? Because even though you might still be able to get in the lane, you might be able to pull the defense in and kick it out. Guys got to knock it down when you kick it out.
That, what? That's a very good point, because I'm thinking about you're right, not having enough space to get in there. But you make a good point. Even if you do get in, who are you passing it out to? Are those guys going to be able to knock it down at a respectable clip?
Right. Yeah, because I think you can still get in, even if they're not hitting it. I think you can
Right.
still get in because they're gonna at least respect it. But you got to knock them down. We seen it all last year. Guys wasn't knocking them down when they were getting wide open 3-point looks and they weren't hitting them.
Right. Right.
Well, I definitely see the lack of shooting, and I think the offense and the players should be a little bit more athletic. Obi's going to get more minutes. Grimes is going to be getting minutes. I know Fournier is not super athletic, but between, I think Jalen Brunson gets the ball up faster than Burks will, and with RJ, Mitch, and hopefully Randall just saying like, you know what, I don't want the ball. I'm going to run. And like, I think if the team commits to running and gunning, that could make up for the lack of shooting. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. That, we look to pick up the pace and run and gun and get more layups, get more dunks, and not have to rely on 3-point shooting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steph.
No, I was going to say that's a good point. I would like to see our pace increase as well.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I still think Evan Fournier will be a starter. Everyone keeps saying he's coming off the bench, but no one on the team can get it up from 3 or come off screens and get it on his fingertips and let it go as quick as Fournier can.
Absolutely.
You need it in that starting lineup. You got to have a guy, because even RJ, he's going to get the ball and get set and then let it go.
Right.
Randall's going to catch it and get set and then let it go. Right. Fournier is the only one that's going to catch it on his toes and get it up as soon as it touches his fingertips. Right. Or catch the ball. You see him do it all the time. He catch the ball. Matter of fact, I practice it. I copied from him. He catch the ball in the corner and then he take a side step and pull it up. Right. He's the only one that can do that in that lineup. And I don't think Quentin Grimes can do that yet.
No.
That's the reason why I think Fournier still needs to be in that lineup.
He's a professional shooter, and as much of a Grimes advocate as I have been, I definitely think he needs to grow into that position. And Fournier's absolutely earned the right to start.
Yeah, right. And to your point, Sam, coming into this season, that wasn't even Fournier. I think he put up maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 shots a game, 3-pointers a game. But he had to find his place in this Knicks offense, and he found his place. And he was putting up 8 3-pointers a game. That's high volume. And he shot it at a pretty good clip. A lot of times when guys are shooting with that higher volume, the efficiency comes down. He shot it at a pretty good clip. I'll look at it and see what his 3-point field goal percentage was. But I think it was
39%.
Yeah. Yep.
39%, 7 points.
Almost sniperish. You could talk about the low field goal percentage overall, but from 39%, that is
7.73 attempts a game.
And he started off not shooting it well.
Correct.
Correct. Not shooting it well. So
correct. And so he's the only really bona fide shooter we have on this team, given the volume. We don't know, with more volume, if Grimes will be able to do the same, but we know that Fournier can. So the Knicks, if they're thinking about moving off of Fournier, what's the replacement? Because already we're limited shooting wise, unless somebody just blows up over the summer and comes back.
Right. And when we talk about running, having a 3-point shooter like that in your lineup is essential with running.
Right.
Because when he runs up the sideline, he's not going towards the basket. He's staying outside that 3-point line. Right. And so now defenders got to get out there on Fournier, to make sure that he doesn't get an open 3. And that opens up the lane to be able to run the floor. If you got guys that can't shoot the 3, then they'll say, you know what? We'll take the chance that you shooting the 3 than getting a dunk. You know what I'm saying? But when you got a guy like Fournier that they feel like, man, this guy's a flamethrower, he can knock it out. They're going to make sure they're guarding that 3-point line, especially when he runs up to the corner, which is the shortest 3-point shot on the court. You run up there, they're getting out there, and that leaves the lanes open for guys to be able to run, get dunks and things like that. So having them shooters out there on the floor is important to your guys like Julius and RJ and Brunson and Mitch to be able to run those lanes and run some fast breaks.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. Let's move on to free throw shooting, which was our Achilles heel last season. And, we talk about the leads we lost last season and our difficulty closing games. Free throw shooting was a big part of it. And even Grimes, who I'm very high on as far as his shooting, I think shot 67, 68% from the free throw line. So how confident are you that we're going to be a better free throw shooting team, and that the players who have the ball in their hand the most down the stretch, RJ, I would assume, Randall, I would assume, Brunson, he's very efficient from the 3-point line, are going to get better.
Well, I go back to my boy Burks. Once again, Burks shot 40% from three, and he shot 82% from the line. Do I expect Brunson to blow Burks' free throw shooting out the water? Not really. Yeah, he comes in, he shoots 84, 86%. That's a little upstick, but truthfully, we still got Mitch shooting from the line. We still got RJ, hovering around 70 from the line.
Yeah, something like that.
71%. Julius 75 from the line. Fournier actually only 71 from the line. So, I think Fournier could probably shoot a little bit better. Like if I had to bet my money, Fournier shoots it a little bit better. Brunson's upstick is very minimal. Taj played a lot of the minutes that Noel wasn't here to play. Right. Taj shot 80% from the line. So, Hardesty is not going to really jack that number up. So, I'm expecting more of the same. I say free throw shooting overall maybe a 6.5, but not elite. Like there's no IQ is the only elite shooter, and he's a backup that with D Rose and Grimes here could be questionable how much time he gets. So his 90% efficiency is not James Harden's 90% efficiency. If you feel me on that. So, I think it's negligible. I don't think it really hurts us, but I don't think it's going to be winning us games.
One thing I'll say before I get to Sims, looking at that closing unit, I think Hartenstein is going to close.
True.
And I think he's a better free throw shooter than Mitch, and I think that'll help us. And I think Brunson at that point guard position, having the ball in his hand in crunch time, that's my hope. That's my vision, is that he's leading the team down the stretch. I think, that's going to help us. But I think you're right. If RJ doesn't increase his free throw percentage, do you want the ball in his hands down the stretch in crunch time? The same thing for Julius. And as well as IQ shoots, he's shooting a three. He's not getting fouled out there. So, I'm hoping Hartenstein and Brunson helps us, but this isn't crunch time. So I get what you're saying. Overall, it might not be much of a difference given what we lost in Noel and Burks, but in crunch time, I'm hoping it'll be better. Sim?
Yeah. I actually feel like it's going to be better this year. I do. I think that RJ's working on his free throws. I think he understands. And I think Julius actually last year was the second best he's ever shot from the free throw line.
Oh, wow.
Right. His best was in 2020, 2021. He shot 81%. And then last year he shot 75.6%.
Yeah.
Years before that is 71, 72, 71, 73, 73.
Right.
Right. But the reason why I think it's going to get better is just what you were just saying, Steph. Mm-hmm. With Brunson having the ball in his hands, I feel like now he doesn't get to the line even as much as Burks, right? If Burks was getting there four to five times a game, Brunson is like at the most 3 per game, right? And he shoots like 84. Well, he shot 84% last year. But I think with him controlling the game, if he's got the ball in his hands controlling the game, I think it's going to allow RJ and Julius to rest a little bit more. So when they do get to the line, maybe they have a little more energy, a little bit more focus. The legs aren't as tired, and it allows them to shoot better from the line because they don't have to handle so much of, the pressure throughout the game that is going to allow them to shoot better from the line, even coming down the stretch. So that's what I'm banking on. I'm still at like a 7. Last year was
Mhm,
For me, it was like a 6 because they couldn't hit shots.
mhm, mhm.
You know, they missed all kinds of free throws and lost games due to free throw shooting. So I'm at a 7, and I think Brunson having the ball in his hands is the reason why they shoot better.
Right. Staff, are you there? All right.
I think Steph
Moving,
is knocked out.
moving right along. Let's go to what we got next. Ball movement. And I think point guard play will have something to do with that if we want to put those together. But what's your confidence in our ball movement? Maybe we'll keep it. I don't know if we want to keep it separate or together. We'll see how you guys answer the question. But ball movement. How confident are you that the Knicks will be moving the ball well this season?
I think they're gonna move it better. I'm gonna go 7.5.
Wow.
At a 7.5. I think they're gonna move it better, especially, and I think they're gonna move it better, especially in the beginning of the season. And then during the middle of the season, when things start to get tight, then we'll see what really happens. But in the beginning, those first 20 games, they're gonna be feeling each other out. With Brunson being new, what I mean? Not trying to step on Brunson's toes, Brunson not trying to step on their toes. So they'll be playing together. But then when they start to get comfortable a little bit, we'll see what happens. And defenses start to dig in, then we'll see what happens there. But I think from the beginning, they're really going to be trying to play together. So we may see what that ball movement could look like. And then we'll see, where it goes from there. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to get better because Brunson's going to be out there running the show. I think he's going to know what Tom Thibodeau wants. And I'm hoping that Tom Thibodeau is able to let Brunson be the guy out there on the floor. He doesn't have to call the plays. Let Brunson call the plays while Tom Thibodeau can figure out other stuff.
Yes, correct. And not just that, and this has to come from the coaching staff, I think, that you're going to be the one initiating the offense for the most part. I mean, listen, sometimes RJ will do it, sometimes Julius will do it, but for the most part, and especially in crunch time, you're going to be the one
Right.
Initiating the offense. Listen, I think, well, to your point, Sam, we did that last year for the first game. Beautiful ball movement against Boston. So we were going to do an over-under on how long that stays that way at the beginning of the season. But I think the other point I want to make is I think Randall is going to move the ball this year. I think he kind of gets it, that the fan base is down on him and why. And I think, and quite frankly, I don't think he's been holding the ball as much as the fan base says he had. Yeah, in the beginning, yeah. But I think as time went on, he really moved the ball. And if there was an advanced metric, and if somebody knows of one, let me know of the percentage of times people hold the ball. I don't even think he's in the top 50 or 60, really. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to move the ball better. I think it's going to be more than just the first game. But moving the ball makes for a beautiful brand of basketball. But if you're not hitting those shots and you're not scoring, you're not getting any points for that. Even though it looks nice. DJ Shuttle.
It can't be worse. I gotta ask him. You said it's gonna be better. It's gonna go to a 7.5. You projected. Like what did you see it as last year?
What did I see it as last year?
Yeah, if you had to give it a rating for last year, what would last year's rating be?
Probably would have gave it a 6, 5 or 6.
Okay,
I think Brunson makes that much difference as far as his decision making out there on the floor.
I'm really hoping that him and Randall actually have some type of off the court type of rapport that can lead to the camaraderie on the court, because maybe because a lot of the players are younger, Randall's a certain kind of dog, I just think that Randall just didn't really vibe with a lot of the players. Like, it might be cool, but it's a different kind of vibe. and I'm just really hoping that Brunson is a similar kind of dog, and they got some of the energy where, Randall respects him more than maybe some of the players that he's played with. Even though things might have been cool, it's a totally different thing to respect you and what you bring to the table on the floor, your experience, your success as a player. And yeah, I'm thinking maybe 6.5. I want to be confident, but I'm not naive. And Brunson's forte is not necessarily, drive, draw, and dish. He's more drive, draw, and finish. So,
Yeah, but
I don't know.
But I think that because he's able to drive, draw, and still finish, I think it is. But I think that's going to allow for a kick out, swing, 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 shoot. You know what I'm saying? And the just the play calling though, who gets the ball when, what play we should do at a certain point in the game. I just don't think Julius was built for that. I don't think he has that kind of mind for the game where I think Brunson does, which I think is going to generate more ball movement for the team.
I see Fournier benefiting the most from this Brunson thing.
I can see that.
So, he should be getting the most catch and shoots. He seems to have, a good sense of floor spacing and where to go, but just didn't really have dependable people that could get the ball to him.
Yeah.
And, so we'll see. I'm going to rate that about a 6.5.
And that's the one thing about Randall, man. Like, I know he had the MIP year and all NBA and all of that, but he wasn't built to be LeBron. And that's how the Knicks were trying to play him. Like he was LeBron. He wasn't built to be that. That's not what he is. Randall is, give me the ball in my spot and I'm going to score. I'm going to try to score, right? I'll bully my way to the basket, blah, 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 blah. That's who he is. It should be, in my opinion, with the type of player that I think he is, when you give Randall the ball, you probably don't expect it back.
Yeah, expect that
he's telling him to go get a bucket or get fouled or whatever you want to do, and you live with that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's who he is. But, because of the players that we had on the team, it was like, okay, we're going to try to use you to be a point forward and facilitate everything on the floor because you are the best draw. You are the best magnet on the team. Right. And they were asking him to be the magnet, kick it out. That's just not who he is.
Right.
And we saving coaching for last.
Yeah. But part of it was who else did we have, to do that?
Yeah,
so
true.
Coordinate this changes. But I just want to bring up this stat. Julius Randle held the ball 3.27 seconds per touch, which is nowhere close to the tops in the league. And RJ held the ball more than he did, slightly, 3.27. Alec Burke held the ball like 4 seconds. You know what I mean? So I think, once a narrative starts, right, you're not able to get off of it. But RJ held the ball 3.27 seconds per possession. Julius Randle 3.25 seconds per possession. They're right next to each other, and it's not even close. The top player was 6 seconds per possession.
Wow. 6 seconds.
6 seconds per possession. So but I've never seen him as somebody that held it that long. Trae Young, 6.3 seconds per touch.
Right.
That's a long time to have
the ball.
6 point. Luka Doncic, 6.19 seconds per touch. James Harden, 6.04 seconds per touch. Chris Paul, 5.88. John Morant, 5.82. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 5.6. And Julius Randle at 3.25. And RJ at 3.27. So let's stop with the pounding the ball. It's just not a true narrative.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not. And if you're upset that he's holding the ball that long, then you got to be upset with RJ too, who holds it just a little bit longer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just a little bit longer.
And when we get one of these star players, really gonna be up there.
That's what happens. When you have the star players, the ball always stops when it get to them because they got to do their thing.
They're gonna hold it. See if the offense is, moving around them, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's how it's
Right.
gonna be.
Let's skip, for the sake of time, let's skip point guard play. I think we all believe that that's going to be better than last season, right? It has to be. Let's go for feel for the game, mental toughness really quick before we get into our defense, and we'll skip some others for the sake of time. But yeah, feel for the game and mental toughness. Where do you think, has that gotten better, worse, about the same? Where do you think we are with that?
I think Brunson is a significant upgrade on that. I think with another year of experience, we get a lot of young players. So the savvy for the game, the mental toughness, that either you're born with it or you can improve on a little bit of these things by experience.
Mhm.
So, you got Brunson, who's been a leader forever. He's going to make a significant difference. This is where him and Burks do have a difference. Burks was cool, but, savvy for the game and a leader, he's not. I don't think he's where Brunson is. So I think that's great. I think RJ still, RJ came in as a kid. He's just 22. So 3 years now. I think chip on his shoulders, scoring 20. I think he comes now as a young vet in the league, and I think he's going to be looking at these new guys coming in as food, and I'm hoping that with Brunson, it leads to better overall play for him, for Randall, and for the entire team. So I definitely see this maybe shooting up to about a 7 for me, and definitely an increase over last year. And then you bring Rose back, a healthy Rose back playing, and I think that's great. And my only real concern for savvy for the game and everything like that is IQ, because everybody loves this guy. He's earned the ability to play some based on what he's done, but he's also very erratic. So but I think everybody else should take an upstick, and point guard definitely takes an upstick.
Yeah. Point guard definitely takes an uptick, and because of the point guard play, I think our IQ, takes a big uptick. Our experience is going to take a big uptick, right? I think RJ is going to have a better feel for the game. Hopefully, Randall's going to have a better feel for the game this year. I mean, IQ. Let's put it like this. The fact that, the Donovan Mitchell trade didn't go through, right? But one way that actually benefits the team is that all of these guys have been here for a few years now. RJ and Julius got here at the same time. That's 4 years together. And Mitch as well. Mitch, I think, the year before, maybe, right? But that's 4 years. This is the 4th year that these guys are playing together, right? This is the 3rd year that IQ and
Obi
Toppin are playing together. This is now Fournier's 2nd year on the team. This is Derrick Rose's 2nd year, third year on the team, right? So you have a little bit more chemistry with this team here. And I think that's going to help their IQ on the court because they know what to expect from one another. Right now, obviously, JB is going to learn a little bit more. He's got to learn what to expect from the players, but guys know what to expect from one another. You know what I mean? And that is going to go a little bit into, I think, their IQ and some of their mental toughness because they know what to expect from one another. They might know what to say to this player or be able to look at this guy's body language to say, he's not happy right now.
Right.
Maybe I can say something to him, right? Because when you're around somebody for a while, you get to know what's going on.
Body language and all that.
Exactly. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know when a guy's on the floor and he's about to, okay, IQ's about to shoot this because you know what it looks like when he's getting ready to shoot. Let me get in position because he's about to shoot. You know what I'm saying? Which guys probably every time he touch the ball getting in position to rebound.
Right. He just came across half court. Get ready. Get ready.
But so I think that plays into it. The IQ part. So I do think that's that's going to be a big upswing. I still think their IQ is, as a team right now, the way I see it, their young team is probably at a 7.5. Mm-hmm. The mental toughness, I'm hoping that Jalen Brunson and Rick Brunson really help the team to be mentally tough this year.
Right.
With Jalen being the leader out there on the floor, he's a mentally tough guy. Rick being there, being able to be there to talk to guys like Julius Randle, you know what I'm saying, to help get his mind back in the game if need be. So I think their mental toughness is going to take an uptick as well. So, I'm probably somewhere around 7.5 with that too.
Okay. All right. Stafford? Oh, come on, Stafford. Asked to come back in. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think the mental toughness will be better with Brunson down the stretch. And I think I'm focusing a lot about down the stretch, but in whether it's down the stretch and those tough moments in the game, I think when you look to the head and you see, Brunson, I really think he's going to hold it down. So I think that's going to be tougher. I think Randall is a wild card, in terms of mental toughness coming back. I think he gets it, and I think it'll be different, but it's yet to be seen. So I think that's a wild card in terms of mental toughness. What's the sign of not being mentally tough? Like, would you say missing free throws down the stretch is a sign of not being mentally tough? Would you say turning the ball over down the stretch is a sign of not being mentally tough? Or when the game gets tight, not executing? Like, if that's mental toughness, I do think that's going to get better with Brunson being here, but he can't do it all. He can't do it all. The other players are going to have to step up in those moments, and even if they've been, not great, sorry.
For mental toughness, I think that's really more about you make a bad play. Hey, let's go. Let's get it back on the next one. Mm-hmm. You lose a game that you had a lead 10 points, and you lose it in the last 2 minutes of the game, mm-hmm. and you come back and you win the next game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You somebody you miss a dunk or you miss a layup. Hey, don't worry about that. You get it back on defense on the next play. You make the next big shot. Mm-hmm. Missing a free throw is a little bit, to me, more of a skill thing where you could be a little bit nervous. To me, I don't really consider nervous and missing under the category of mental toughness, because you could miss it and go shoot 500 free throws after the game because you blew that winning foul shot, and now you're going to come back and you're going to shoot 90% for the next whatever games, or increase your free throw percentage. To me, that is mentally tough, bouncing back. And I think Randall actually can be mentally tough, because I mean, for you to be in New York City doing all this and then still be able to put up the numbers he put up, you got to be a little mentally tough or crazy to be able to do that. And he might be a combination of both.
But you could argue that his efficiency could point to the fact that he's wasn't able to deal with it. But it's hard to say, because mm-hmm. we don't know what was going on in his personal life either. I don't know if it was all the fans.
Right. And hopefully, I think this could be another sign of mental toughness. How when Randall comes back, does he come back when, because the fans are going to boo him. No doubt about it. And he's going to hear all kinds of wild stuff. Does he come back strong?
I hope not. Yo, please don't boo Randall, y'all. Please don't do that.
He's going to get booed.
Please don't do that.
Game one.
Check 1, 2.
Support your team and your players.
Yeah.
Let it be a fresh slate, please. Let this guy get out there, because if you boo him, like, you can't think that that's going to be helpful to the team. Listen,
My thing is this. I think he's going to get booed, right? But if he does get booed and he says something to you, the fans, to us, you want him to have a thick skin. You have a thick skin too. Don't cry about it.
yo, and that's why I didn't have a problem with with everything everybody was all hype about last year. It's New York City. Yo, SMD every day, all over the streets. It's crazy. So, yo, you can't be from New York and be crying somebody gave you a thumb down sign. Come on. What are we really talking about?
Right.
New York City, y'all got to toughen up. What we doing?
Man,
He's supposed to take it, but not get this shit out. That's
Come
basically.
on, New York City. What are we really talking about? Let's go.
man, some of
Get
these fans are
get
so
boos.
sensitive. Bro.
No booing. No booing.
But he's going to get. I'm telling you,
He's gonna get.
don't catch it.
I believe you,
Okay.
but I want to implore the fans that are listening, nothing but Knicks. I'm advocating a no boo zone for Randall game 1. Let him get into that game. Let him play. Yo, and if he's bad, his play is bad, and he's earned it, then boom. Boom, because his play is bad, and he's being selfish. He's dribbling. He's missing layups. He's shooting air balls. Yo, all right, cool. Then boom. But don't boom game 1 because you hold it on to last year's old stuff. You understand? You got a relationship. You got a problem. You talk about it, and you move on. Put it in the can. Put it outside.
If I'm Randall, game 1, the fans start booing, I'm doing this. Right? You can't see my hands. I'm calling it in.
Right.
Get the
Right.
the whole MSG booing. Get it out your system. It's like taking two people that, keep on having, they keep arguing and it's building up. Say, you know what? Finally, y'all got to fight.
Right.
I was watching Cobra Kai. That's why I just. That's what he did. He said, "Yo, you know what? We just gonna y'all gonna fight. Get it out your system. You know what? You might just gotta let it get out the system."
Right.
But didn't we do that last year? Then weren't the fans going at him, and then he did this? So we already did this.
But I don't think, because after that, he wasn't doing the press conferences and all of that. It was, just go out there and say, "Give it to me."
Yo, if y'all feel like y'all need to boo, that's petty.
Right. But I'm with
DJ
Sam.
Shuttle.
Go ahead.
It's like anything he do, he's going to get criticized. He had a pickup game the other day. I see him working on his left hook. They criticized that. He at the U.S. Open, they criticized that. He in the Bahamas working out, they criticized that. So I mean, it's like, anything this guy do, they criticize him for. So I mean, he just got to go out there and ignore the whole noise, in my opinion, and let his game speak for him, for itself.
That's the
and
problem with Randall. I don't care what the fans do. Is
exactly.
that he's allowing that to get to him? I would have felt much better about Randall if he would have did the thumbs down, and then the fans would have been upset, and he would have said, "Listen, this is New York. You dishing it out. You better be able to take," like something like that would have made me like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But what
Melo would have did that.
Right. He issued an apology, and like somebody said in the chat, and he go out, he scores 2 points. Like, you letting it get to you. Just pick a side. Either you're gonna let it get to you and you're gonna sulk, or you're gonna accept it, lean into it, and give it back if you need to, or not.
Or not.
But it shouldn't impact your play, is what I'm saying.
But if I could recall also too, when he did the thumbs down, was only to some portion of the fans that was heckling him. It wasn't everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did the thumbs down to every. It was a portion of the fans that was heckling him, and he did that to them. So it's not like he disrespect the whole arena and the whole New York fan base. I mean, y'all got to get over it, man. You know what I mean? Just get over it, man.
Fans is holding crazy, boy.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. All right, let's move on. We may not get to everything. Let's talk about our, Yeah, I think I'm a skimp on some other ones, but I really want to get into this. Individual defenders. Where all right, DJ Show. Let's finish the question. Before we get into our confidence in our team
Sorry.
defense, what are your thoughts on the individual players on this team and their ability to be individual defenders? Keep players in front of them. If they get picked off, fight to get back in the play. Things like that. Deflection, steals, individual defenders. What's your confidence that we have enough individual defenders on this team? And I don't even know what enough is. Like, I don't even know how to quantify enough. But yeah, when you think about the Knicks and individual defenders, are you pretty confident?
um, I'm gonna go a 6.5. And Queen, you should know why I'll go 6.5. I told you this guy was soft, and I still think he's soft. Um, Evan Fournier. I mean, even though his defense officially was the same as RJ, I still think he is the person that they're gonna pick on when it comes to uh having the ball, having that main player go at him, just because of his defensive efficiencies. But I do think Randall is a good defender, RJ is a good defender, Bronson is a good defender, and Mitch is an excellent rim protector. So individually, I think 4 out of the 5, um, will hold a ground, but I still think Evan Fournier is the shaky one on the team when it comes to defense on the starting 5, and the defense. I mean, on the bench. Obi gotta move his hips, man. He's a little too stiff. So I believe any type of player that will go at Obi may give him a little problem. Hartenstein, I believe, may able to hold his own. IQ, I believe he could hold his own. Grimes may be able to hold his own. So with the overall defense, I'm gonna go 6.5.
Okay. In terms of individual defenders. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. DJ Shuttle.
I'm gonna give it a 6. You know, uh, my guy Randall, aka Thumbs Down, he's actually one of the better individual defensive players on the team. He's not great at team defense, but he's great at his man got the ball. He's D'ing up on KD or any of these players that score. Sabonis, he's playing these guys tough. I have to agree with Steph. Fournier definitely got guys dribbling around him like it's a clinic. Too much last year. However, he actually is a good team defender. But yeah, overall, I give it a 6. I give it a 6.
Okay.
I'm hoping that Tibbs will coach him up though. Let's go Tibbs.
Yeah, I actually think we're at about a 7 in individual defenders. Right, Evan Fournier is the weak link in the starting unit, but I do think Brunson is a decent defender. RJ is a decent defender. He lets guys go backdoor. You know what I mean? Hopefully, he's going to fix that this year. I think Randall's a good defender. Just like Shuttle said, we've seen him defend. We've seen him be able to step out and defend guards when he has to. Defend guys like Kevin Durant, Paul George, etc. I think with Randall, it's sometimes the hustle plays.
Right.
You know what I mean? For the loose balls and making those plays. Sometimes he'll decide to do it, sometimes he won't. And it's got to be all the time. I think Mitch, we know, is a good defender, especially, in weak side shot blocking. I I think he's good in the pick and roll. Mitch is one-on-one out on the perimeter against another, I'm not sure.
Like a Bam Adebayo,
I'm
not
not
a
sure.
good match.
how
Not a good
strong-
matchup for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how strong he is out there. Evan Fournier, I do think he's good as a team defender, but
Right.
one-on-one, he just doesn't have fast enough feet.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything he can do about that. He just doesn't have fast enough feet. You know what I mean? But I think, well, I'll go to the bench. Going to the bench, I think Rose is a good defender.
Mm-hmm.
If he's out there playing, I think he's a good defender. IQ has the ability to be a good defender.
Mm-hmm.
He can when he wants to. Obi, I don't know if he's ever going to be a good defender, to be honest with you. I just, like Stafford said, he doesn't move his hips well. His footwork has never been the best. Hopefully he's continuing to work on it. I just don't know if he's ever going to be a really good defender. Hopefully he can just get to okay, a decent one. I don't know about Hartenstein. I can't really say. I know he can block some shots. I don't know though about him. Quentin Grimes, we know, is a good defender.
Right.
I'm at about a 7 as a team defense. I think a lot of it is going to depend on what Tom Thibodeau does. If he continues to go straight up man to man every single possession, I think it makes it hard. You never give your guys a rest. In today's game, I think you need that zone to give guys a little bit of a rest out there on the floor.
Right.
You know what I mean? And also to give a different look to the opposing team, because they start to pick you apart. And when they start to pick you apart, there's almost nothing that the guys can do. You know what I'm saying? When they start to figure out everything you're doing defensively, now what? And that's what that zone does. When you're able to switch in and out of zone and different possessions, you don't give that team a chance to pick you apart.
Right.
And to settle in and say, this is what they're doing. Let's bust it open. You don't give them a chance to do that because you're constantly switching up defenses. And the Knicks don't do that. They straight up play man-to-man defense. Every once in a while, they do a little bit of trapping. When they're down 10 with 3 minutes left or something like that. Do some trapping, try to get the ball out the guard's hands. They don't really switch up the defense. So I'd like to see them switch up the defense a little bit more. Right? That way you can hide Fournier a little bit. You can hide Obi a little bit. Keep him out there on the floor a little bit longer. You can give guys some rest when they're out there on the floor. Make the other team think a little bit. There's a lot of things you can do when you switch to a zone. Or press, even if it's just for 3 or 4 possessions.
Right.
Listen, when last did you see Tom Thibodeau did a zone?
Ever.
I don't know if
I haven't seen it.
remember him doing his own. Maybe he did a couple of times, but he really doesn't play zone. And maybe he just doesn't believe in it. But I think in today's game you got to play some zone.
Well, let's see.
I think individually defense, I think we're gonna be okay. I think some, individual defense, there's a lot of different parts, and some players are better at different parts than others. Like Cam Reddish is someone who's going to play the passing lane. He has a very good, deflection and steal rate. Brunson is not very athletic. He's not very. I don't think he has a plus wingspan either. And if it is, maybe just by an inch or two. But but he's going to hustle and he's strong. So you're not going to back him down, right? You either going to shoot over him or maybe get around him, but you're not gonna bully him. Randall is a good individual defender when he's engaged, and that's the thing with Randall, is he engaged consistently? Because you see him, he'll get up for the Bostons, and when he's playing, I've seen him defend Jaylen Brown very well on multiple possessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him defend Kevin Durant multiple possessions very well. So some players, they just don't have the ability, and for others, they have the ability, but they don't have the willingness to just kind of stay engaged for the entire game. And that's where Randall falls, in my opinion. Even team defense, he knows where he's supposed to be. It's not like he doesn't know. He's just not getting to his spots. right? But he doesn't come across to me as someone with a low defensive IQ, even in team defense. He knows where he's supposed to be. He's just not. He's
Yeah.
just not. He's just not getting there. I think with Obi, his team defense and his defensive awareness has improved some, but in terms of being able to defend in space, I don't know if that'll ever be a strong point for him. To your point, Sim, because of his footwork and DJ Shuttle, his hips, but straight line speed and things like that, he's definitely off the charts. And I'll say this about Fournier. Fournier is also another one like Randall will take plays off and won't fight over screens and things like that. But the games in which he's feisty, the games in which he's fighting over screens and what have you, he's I'm not gonna say a very good defensive player, but he's a plus. He appears to be a plus defender in those situations. And it's just a matter of doing it more often. But I will say, if you've ever played defense, it could be discouraging because everybody is on a string. If one person breaks down, it puts a lot of pressure on the rest of the defense. And if that's happening over and over and over again, it can get discouraging, where the defense is just always breaking down.
Yeah.
And if quick on Fournier, I mean, I saw Fournier, prior to coming to the Knicks as a guy that seemed like one of those slow guys that just always knew where the play was going and could catch steals. I'm like, oh, what's he doing there? And he just gets the steals. On this team, he's second in steals last year, only 6 steals behind Alec Burke. 79 steals in the season. RJ only had 43. Randall only 53. Wow. So, I mean, he's at the right place,
Yeah. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely some games where he got a lot of steals. He does understand how to get into those passing lanes and be there,
right?
Right. But I mean, so if you're talking one up, that's that team defense,
right? And that's why I said he's better on team defense. He's better on team defense than he is on just individual defense.
So,
but that's okay. If you got players hitting their spots on the rotation, that helps a lot.
Exactly. And going back a little bit with Randall, I think some of his defense is going to depend on Tom Thibodeau too, right? And like that, like those second effort and those hustle plays, and Tom Thibodeau would like to use him 12 minutes in the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? When you get down to those last 2 minutes in the first quarter, last 4 minutes in the first quarter, he ain't playing this no more.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when the ball's been in his hand.
Right.
A good portion of that first quarter, he's not playing defense anymore. You know what I mean?
Tired.
Yeah. So those substitution patterns, I think, mean something in the way that a player can, put energy out there on the floor. If you're using a guy for 12 minutes straight, I don't care how good a shape they're in, you're going to get tired.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think his substitution patterns, have to change. And I know we're going to talk about, Tom Thibodeau. His substitution patterns have to change. And then hopefully, if Randall doesn't have the ball as much, he's not exerting so much energy on the offensive side.
Right.
He can exert that energy on the defensive side. You know what I mean? Because when you have the ball, when you're expected to be the scorer, the distributor, and also defend, something that somewhere is going to give. Right.
And you could decrease his overall minutes, but you can also stagger his minutes in such a way, even if you don't decrease his overall minutes, so that during crunch time, he's fresh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Queen, we had a discussion. Sorry.
One second. And the last thing is Randall just coming in better shape overall. And I think this will be the season that he will. Go ahead, Steph.
So, Queen, we just had that same argument last week when I said Randall should play 28 minutes. And here you go saying decreasing his minutes. See, you're confusing me now.
No. I didn't. I said no. I don't think Randall is getting less than 34 minutes a game. I'm saying that instead of decreasing his minutes, that's one way to do it, to decrease his minutes. But the point I was trying to make is that another way to keep him fresh is just when you're giving him his minutes. like to just, instead of 12 minutes straight, maybe it's 8 rest, then come back for the 4 as opposed to 12 straight. I don't think Randall is playing less than 34 minutes. I would be shocked if it happened.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
All
agree.
right, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. But I think he doesn't have to play him straight, like, you parse him out in such a way that he's fresh down the stretch. But let's get right into the team defense. I'm gonna start. I think we're gonna be a very good team defensively. We ended up at 11 after being at one point, I think we were 20. That's when we had both Kimball Walker and Evan Fournier as our starting guards and whatever. And do you know what our defense had to do after that? To be able to finish at 11, they had to really play defense. And Alec Burke, that a lot of people didn't really like in that starting lineup, had a lot to do with the Knicks being able to move from 20 up to 11. Now you're starting with Brunson and Fournier, or Brunson and Grimes. And I know there's concerns about them defensively, but team defense wise, if everybody buys in, I see the Knicks finishing in the top 10, in the top 8. Remember, we were 11. How much is it going to take for us to move up one spot? Now, I get it. The other teams are going to be different. Everybody's not going to stay the same. But I think we're going to have a top 10 defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the top 8.
Well, I'm gonna go 8. Can you hear me?
Yes, DJ Shutter was trying to talk, but he's muted.
Oh, go ahead, Shuttle. Go ahead.
I think the team last year, when you put it all in, considering everything, I mean, that was like a 7.5, 8 season. I don't see it being much better. I think it falls right in line in a similar space, maybe somewhere between 8 and 12, which wouldn't really be much of an upstick. I don't see this as like a shut them down defense, which is what I would need it to be to really take it up to, a 9 or something higher than that. But yeah, I do agree. Team defense should be one of the strongest points of the entire team. Fournier plays passing lanes. Mitch is great at help defense, and blocking shots when they come into the lane, the pick and roll, blocking the 3-point shots when he switches. So I definitely think it's room. My only concern, my biggest concern on team defense is Randall based on performance. But despite how much people want Tibbs to go, defense is his forte. And if he got last year's team, which was only a 37-win team, without really stellar all-NBA defensive players to still make it to 11 in the league, and the year before that to also be a top players and have mostly the same players coming back, obviously the coach is doing something right, because these players by themselves are not doing it.
Okay. Stafford, then Sim.
I'm gonna go back to a stat that Sim brought up last year that made our defense number 11, and that's Burks at number 14 ranked on ball pressure. You know what I mean? That made our defense even better when he was in the starting lineup. I know people may laugh about that, but Burks, his ball pressure, was ranked number 14. But anyway, everything that DJ Shuttle said, I gotta agree with. Mitch, the help defense, the rim protection, RJ being I think they ranked him as one of the top 10, I think, in small forwards defense. If I see, I remember. So he and then also he is striving to be a two-way player. So he should be even much better on ball defense. Bronson, I think he's just a dog in itself. You know what I mean? He's tough. I don't think they're gonna beat him up like that. Um, but and Tom Thibodeau, as he said, defense is his forte. So I really think we should be a top 10 defense. And Evan Fournier, even though still, as Sim say, the weak link, I think he might be a little better. They're coming into his second year. He knows what to do and his expectations, even though I call him soft, but I still expect this team also to be in the top 10 when it comes to defense.
Yeah. And somebody said, what's the difference between number 9 and number 11? And you're right. The number 10 team, which was Utah, was 110, and we were 110.2. So you could get into the top 10. That might not be saying a lot. We might need to get all the way up to the top 5 to say something. But go ahead, Sim.
I think it's possible that we could get up there to the top 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that Alec Burks at the point guard spot brought a little bit more length than Jalen Brunson is going to bring, but I think Jalen Brunson is going to bring more of a defensive IQ. And I think that defensive IQ is going to show up in the fourth quarter, right? When we need to get some stops out there. So I think that's going to help a lot. I also believe that there was a point in the season where some of the guys were upset with Evan Fournier because they didn't think he played defensive enough or as good, especially after having Reggie Bullock there. I think this year they come into the season already knowing what Evan Fournier can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's not like, hey, man, this guy isn't like Reggie Bullock. It's like, okay, what do we do to make up for Evan Fournier when he's out here on the floor with us? So now it's more of a team concept and a team thinking like, hey, Evan's guarding this guy. We got to make sure we're ready to help quicker, so on and so forth. Right. So I think that chemistry is going to help make the team better defensively. And then having a guy, remember, Nerlens Noel last year didn't play.
Right.
He was a shot blocker off the bench.
Yeah.
Years ago, Nerlens Noel was a shot blocker. And when Mitch was out, he did a great job. When both him and Mitch were there, they were both able to protect the rim. Now you got Hartenstein who could protect the rim coming off the bench. And I think that's going to make a heck of a difference coming off the bench. And then if I still think Evan Fournier is going to start, at least from the beginning of the season. But if Evan Fournier is not getting it done, you bring Grimes in, who is going to be able to play some tough defense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe you give up a little bit something on the offensive side when that happens, but you do what you got to do. So I think this team will have the ability to be I'll say top 7 defense.
Yeah.
I think they can.
I agree with you. And let's not, forget IQ's defense, as well. So I think the team defense is going to be good. And Mitch, listen, money making Mitch. This is to me where Mitch needs to make it. Well, he's already made his money, but this is where he needs to shine. And rebounding, yes, we need that both offensively and defensive, the rim protection, whatever. But just to be a demon back there, like even if you're not blocking shots, you're altering shots. You just really creating havoc if someone does get into the lane. Like I really need Mitch to really take it up a notch. I've seen him do it, but if he can do that more consistently, just be extremely active game in and game out, especially if he's going to be playing less minutes, with Hartenstein being there, that's an opportunity for him to not even have to worry about pacing himself. Just go out. Like when I look at what's his name, is it Robert Williams or Robert Williams on Boston? Every time I see him, he just looks like he's just jumping out the gym, just all over the place. That's what I want to see.
Full of energy
from Mitch, game in and game out. And if he does that, that definitely boosts our defense.
Yeah. Don't worry about your hacking and whacking, Mitch. Go out there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we're gonna talk about and what we're going to let's go to closing and coaching, right? I think we talked a little bit about rim protection, which I think, listen, is going to be improved with both Mitch and Hartenstein, right? I think Mitch was 1.8, Hartenstein was 1.2. I want to say. So, we'll have that rim protection pretty much for the entire game between the two of them. So let's talk quickly about our bench. We kind of got into our bench defense when we were talking about the defense overall. Let's talk about our bench scoring and ability to hold or increase leads. I think our bench has changed some, right? We lost, was it just Burks? Well, Burks basically wound up starting.
Yeah,
I think
we
our
Burks,
lost.
Noel,
We lost
Burks,
Todd.
Noel, and
Todd.
Taj.
we lost
Yeah.
Taj. That let's talk about the scoring of the bench and the ability to hold and increase leads. That bench is really strong. I'm gonna go with ESPN depth chart, which kind of has Derrick Rose. DJ Shuttle, don't get upset. Kind of have Derrick Rose like fifth straight, but they had IQ, Grimes, Cam, Obi, and Hartenstein. And you could throw Rose in there. I think he's gonna. I can't imagine him being healthy and not playing, but it's possible. Um, let's talk about the bench scoring and how comfortable you are with the bench being able to hold a lead or increase a lead. I think it improves if Rose is in the game though, that holding a lead part. But any thoughts on the bench scoring and holding leads?
Very confident. One of my highest ratings for the team. I give it a strong 8.
Wow. Okay. Okay. All right.
um, boy, DJ Shuttle, I'm gonna have to probably go a little notch underneath that, just because of IQ's erratic shooting at times and decision making.
And I'm going to counter that by saying I'm hoping D Rose is playing more and IQ is playing less.
Actually, they both of them they normally play together.
That was
So Rose might be able to settle him down, but Rose is
that
not
was
going to
2 years
play.
ago though.
I get it, but Rose is not going to be able to play all the time. They're going
True.
to be watching his minutes. You understand, to not really wear him out, just in case we do make the play in or the play off, that he is fresh. So IQ has to be able to, when he comes in, manage the game, not shoot erratically, and take not take I want to say dumb shots, but not take unnecessary shots that he just come down and just pop a three just like that. You want to be able to move the ball side to side, make sure the bench five at least touch the ball. And if he sees he pick his points and he scores, that's fine. But I have to go probably a notch down a 7, just because of IQ. But I do see Rose as a stable in the second unit. He's going to set up Hartenstein. Um, Grimes going to get his shots, and I think we should be able to sustain a lead as long as IQ stays in control. That's my take on that.
One of those guys is going to be situational. Now, whether that's Rose or Cam, I don't really see IQ being situational. I don't see Grimes being situational the way they held him out of trade talks. But I don't see all 6 of them playing consistently in that second unit. But Sam, your thoughts on the bench as far as the scoring and being able to hold leads or increase leads?
Yeah, I'm at like a 7.5 with those guys. A lot depends on Derrick Rose being there. I think if Derrick Rose isn't there, I think they lose a lot. Even though I think Derrick Rose could be situational, but even with him being situational and being there, if the bench isn't getting it done, you can plug in Derrick Rose and he's going to get it done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
So I think it depends a lot on Derrick Rose.
Yeah, make a good point. Even if he is situational and you got an IQ and a Grimes, if things are not going right, you can pull one of them.
Yeah.
And put Derrick Rose in.
Rose in, and
Yeah.
Derrick Rose can get it done. It's like the way Taj was for the Knicks, right? You can put Taj in there and he was going to get it done. Derrick Rose a little younger. He may have a little more energy to go longer if someone needs to come out permanently.
Right.
I worry about just the youth of those guys, really. That's really what it is. And being able to hold the lead or extend the lead. That's what I worry about. They're young.
Right.
If Derrick Rose isn't out there, they're all 25 and under.
Yeah.
Right? They're all 25 and under, very, very young. So, and young without a lot of experience. IQ going into his third season, Obi into his third season, Grimes in his second season. Not sure what season it is for Hartenstein, but maybe fourth or fifth. Fifth. Cam going into his fourth season, but we don't know exactly what Cam is for the Knicks. You know what I mean? So they're young guys. I think it'll be up and down. Sometimes they'll be crazy hot, and sometimes they may not. The other team may have a lot of pressure, and they wilt under that pressure, but they're young.
Right. And to your point, that kind of bodes for, having Rose in that second unit. And the thing about it is Brunson is going to play 34 plus minutes. So it's not even going to be a lot of minutes left behind him. And I think that's kind of perfect for Rose. 12 minutes a game, 13 minutes a game. But when you do that, Grimes or IQ, or maybe even Cam, is really going to be out of that rotation unless you decide you take Cam out. Now you're going with 3 guards in that a 3-guard rotation in that second unit. It's going to be pretty small in the front court. Let me just read this super chat. Shout out to Marion Davis. Appreciate you for the super chat. Not to give IQ an excuse, but Tibbs takes players out when rookies and second-year players make mistakes. Could affect their shot selection, no doubt. Even Rose said this. It's in their minds. I think this was earlier when we were talking about shooting and efficiency and how IQ wasn't shooting that well. So Marion Davis, I guess, is making a point that, the fear of being pulled or the prospect of being pulled is, interfering.
We're saying the fear of getting pulled is stopping IQ from jacking shots. Is that what we just said? Is that what that super chat was trying to explain? That's what I read that earlier, and I was like, she's tripping, but she's super chatting, so I didn't want to talk about it. But since you brought it up, you can't be saying that, Miss Davis. I don't get it. What are we talking about? IQ jacks like he is the franchise player, actually, and that he's sleeping with Tibbs' daughter or something. Like he's good.
But
so can I just make
what?
Maybe the fear, you don't know if you're going to come out, so you're just jacking them up because fear that you might be coming out soon. I'm not sure. Staff?
I was saying somebody in the chat also made a good point about D Rose. He's not going to be playing back to backs. I'm assuming he's not going to be playing back to back, but I think that's a good point. So there may be a little more minutes for probably IQ or Grimes, or even the odd man out Cam. So with Derrick Rose not playing back to back, there's going to have to be some nights that back to IQ again that he needs to settle down and stabilize the offense and not just jack up shots, like he's the franchise player sleeping with, as what DJ Shuttle said, the coach's daughter or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's why I'm really looking forward to preseason, just see how these rotations play out. And I think we're going to get an inkling because if you look at the Summer League team, they played that Summer League team like it was a regular season. They had a tight rotation, and that was all of the guys you saw for most of the summer league. So I'm pretty sure if they're gonna do that for a summer league team, it might be the same in the preseason.
Well, the summer league team, there really weren't many positions. There really weren't many positions that were going to be open for the team for the big club.
Mhm.
So like we gotta get Grimes his minutes, doing everything we saw him do. And there were a couple other players that are going to be maybe G League call-ups during the season, or maybe getting that last spot or two on the team. So, we couldn't spend too much time with all the other players. And if
though, you would expect.
And I gotta agree with Mr. Jeffrey Clafton. And I wasn't gonna say this, but if Rose is playing 13, 14 minutes a game, yeah, maybe he is playing back-to-backs.
Yes,
I don't know. It's gonna be that is gonna be what distinguishes, I think, Tibbs's coaching value this season. I know we didn't get to Tibbs yet, but
get to him.
But how you manage giving Cam a shot, a fair shake to flourish, and getting some value from him, getting the best out of Obi, IQ, and also Grimes. And what do you do with Rose, and how you manage all of that is definitely going to be key.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of get to this now. I mean, I think I do want to talk briefly about closing games, because I think that was one of our Achilles' heel. We'll do that briefly, and then we'll get into Tibbs. Maybe I should have moved Tibbs up, But how confident are you guys in our ability to close out games this year? I don't know how many it was, but there were multiple games when with 5 minutes left, that's considered closing time or crunch time. We were sometimes up 10, sometimes up 20, definitely within 10, even if we weren't up, but we were like within, 5, 10 points. And we lost a lot of those games. About free throw shooting is part of it, and not having somebody that you can go to at the end of the game to get you a bucket. The closest we had to that was Randall and RJ, and both of those guys weren't very efficient last year. What's your thoughts on how confident are you now? With the addition of Brunson, Hartenstein, D Rose coming back, with our ability to close?
I feel comfortable with the ability for this team to close because of both of those guys you just mentioned, Jalen Brunson and Derrick Rose. I think that's it right there. Jalen Brunson, I think he's going to make those decisions down the stretch, and I think he's going to be good at it. Derrick Rose, if that second unit's not doing what they got to do, Derrick Rose is going to be able to come in and get it done down the stretch. Now, Derrick Rose is a little bit different than Jalen Brunson. He's not going to run the offense. He's just going to go get you a bucket. You know what I'm saying? So I feel a lot better with this team down the stretch, because I just feel like there's someone to rely on.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that last year.
Yeah, I agree. And
DJ, it was shaky. It was shaky more than it needed to be last year. Too many games where the team played great for 3 quarters and lost it in the fourth. I definitely think Brunson improves that a slight bit, and maybe more than a slight bit, because I don't know, for some reason I'm gonna bring this guy Burks back up again. I mean, go back to the tape, man. Son hit some clutch shots last year. Game tying, keep you in the game shots, take the lead shots in the last 2 minutes of games. He was actually, if you had to ask me who you wanted to shoot the last shot or any important shot like that, I probably would have said Burks last year over RJ, over Randall, and maybe slightly Fournier behind that. But so I think overall Brunson provides greater stability to keep things in order, keep it in line, get the ball out of Randall's hands some, get it to him in his sweet spots where he don't got to think too much about it.
Right.
He can do a quick spin move and get to the hoop as opposed to dribble spin move. So yeah, I think it should be better. I'd put it at about a 7.
Wow.
I also think Brunson's ability to do just what you said, Shadow, is going to allow Julius Randle to make quick strikes to the basket, which can be really, really unstoppable.
Yeah.
You know, because he has the ball. Now he's boom, 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 boom. He gets in, has nothing, get it to Randle. Guys got to close out to Randle. Now he goes hard to the basket. Just don't pick up the offensive foul.
Right.
You know, he might, you know, we've seen him do that.
Yeah. Before I get to staff, I'm very comfortable with our ability to close now. I mean, we still don't have, as far as I can see now, we'll see once the season starts, that guy, that guy that you can like just, give the ball to, you need a basket. Everybody in the arena knows you need a basket, including the other team, and they're keying on him and he can still get the basket. I don't know if we have that type of closer yet.
No.
Right.
No.
Unless that changes, and somebody becomes that during the season. But I'm very comfortable with that we're going to get a good shot. I'm very comfortable that if we do have a lead, we're not going to give it up easily. I'm comfortable that, if we're down, by a couple of baskets, that we're going to get good shots. People not going to just come down and chuck up shots, that we're going to get good shots to get back in the game. I'm comfortable we're not going to be turning the ball over. I want to become more comfortable in our free throw shooting. That remains to be seen. I have to see that. But I feel much more comfortable now with our ability as a team to close. I would put that at an 8. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. And last season, I was not. It was like hit or miss for sure. Staff, any comments on our ability to close before we move to Tibbs?
Yeah, well, this is a thing with me, right? Last year it was IQ and Rose closing, right? And
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay, but last year also too, IQ was also one of the closers also too. So this year we bring in Bronson and Rose is back healthy. Now we all know IQ is an excellent free throw shooter. I'm trying to figure out which one of those guys is going to be on the bench in crunch time and which guy is going to be playing in those crunch time minutes.
When you say one of those guys, you're talking about Brunson or IQ?
No, I'm talking about Rose or IQ. Because when you look at it, Rose, even though he calms down the team, I still think
but you talk about crunch time. In the crunch time in the fourth quarter, if Brunson's going to be there, so you're saying IQ or Rose is going to go in and what? Fournier and Grimes are not going to play, and Rose or IQ is going to play instead of Fournier and Grimes?
Yeah, because we talking about the closing 5, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, one of those guys have to sit. So it's either going to be Rose or IQ, right?
And it won't be Fournier in there, and it won't be Grimes in there.
Right, wouldn't be because RJ is going to be at the small forward, and Mitch and Randall. So I'm saying I'm comfortable. Yes, with us closing games, right? But I see Brunson, more taking lead control of that. But is I'm just kind of, with the whole Rose and because I don't know who's going to be closing, and with IQ being an excellent free throw shooter, because Tibbs relies on him a lot, and that's Tibbs' boy. So it'll be very interesting going into the season at the end of games to see who is going to be closing between those two guys.
And I had to reiterate it just to be sure I was clear, because and you know what, the more I listen to it, the more I guess I could be open for the idea that it maybe it might be Brunson and Rose closing in the backcourt. Like the more I'm sitting here thinking about it, the more it doesn't really sound crazy.
Right.
It sounds more like Tibbs than not, actually.
I think a lot of it is going to depend on which D rolls. Like if he comes back and he's lost a step and he's not looking great, I don't really see it. But if he's sharp like he was 2 years ago, I think he would close. And I think it would be to our advantage to have both of them out there. The
If
only issue,
especially if it's you need one bucket, it's like 10 seconds left in the game and it's a tie score or you're down one, and you're going to be taking the last shot. I think that might actually be the best guard lineup to have. But I couldn't see Brunson and IQ. That I don't see at all.
But well, what I would say about Brunson and Rose, you have the advantage that both of them can get in the key. They have the mid range. They can beat their guy off the dribble. They can get in the key. They don't have the shooting, and they're good free throw shooters, right? So if they get fouled, they're really decent free throw shooters. But I can also see IQ as well. He's a pretty good defender. He's a plus defender. He can shoot the three. If he gets fouled, he's a very good free throw shooter. So that's going to be interesting. My preference would be, but see, you don't really have what have if IQ. With you, at least you get some shooting with IQ in the game. With Rose and Brunson, they're okay. I wouldn't consider them shooters, but they can hit the three. Sam?
I was just gonna say that Rose has been, I think the past couple of years though. I mean, maybe he's turned into a 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
more than he was earlier on. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I know last year he was, he was knocking it out. The year
40,
before
40,
then, he was
40 last year and 41 the year before.
Wow. How many threes per game?
And
it wasn't high volume, but when he did shoot them, he knocked
last year 3.5 per game. Year prior 2.6 per game.
3.5 shots per game. Wow.
In 24 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been knocking them out.
See, he's not. He's more 3-point reliable than he was. This is not the 2012 D Rose,
Right.
I mean, when you look at since 2018-19, he was at 37% in 18-19. He dropped to 30% in 19-20, 38% in 2021, 33 in 20. Well, actually, for the Knicks, he was 41% in 2021. Okay, so 20. All right, so 18-19 he was 37%, 19-20 he was 30%, 2021 he was 38%, and then last year he was 40%. So of the last 4 years, he had 1 year below, that was low.
Wow.
Yeah, 37, 38, 40. I mean, I'll take those.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see this whole rotation. I think it's going to be 10, and if it's 10, there's going to be 2 good players. You figure Sims is going to be rotation, so that's 1 decent player that's not in the rotation, and 1 guard, either Cam, Rose, Grimes, or IQ. One of those are not going to be in the rotation if we're going to stick to 10. So it's going to be 2 pretty good players not in the rotation. It's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be a battle in training camp between those 2 guys, Cam and Grimes. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to those 2 guys. They're real serious.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the last. Coaching. Tibbs and the coaching and the rest of the coaching staff. I know we don't believe there is a coaching staff, right? But Tibbs and the coaching staff. How confident are you that Tibbs will be better this season. And how confident, how confident are you, that Tibbs is going to be better this year than he was last year. Yeah. And what do you, how would you even know he's better?
That's a good question. How would you even know he's better? I guess
For
for
real,
me,
real good question.
eye test, right? It would be the eye test with the way that the players are being used on the court.
Yeah.
You know, the variations in the offense. I think the same thing with the defense. The variations in the defense. Are you switching up the defense, using different defenses? You know, his rotation patterns, his minute patterns.
Mhm.
You know, those are the things I guess I'd be looking for with Tom Thibodeau. I think he can do it. I do feel like, you know, people are mad with Tom Thibodeau. I do feel like he was taking the group of players that he had with all the injuries and everything else and saying, this is what I got to do, what I feel like I got to do to win. You know what I mean? I think we saw a little expansion in the offense last year than from the year before. And the year before, you're talking about Elfrid Payton in the starting lineup, right? Bullock in the starting lineup. You know what I mean? So it was like, what am I going to do? Elfrid Payton can't shoot. He can't shoot from 3 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Reggie Bullock can shoot the ball, but, you know, it's in and out. You know what I mean? They were a defensive team. So what's the best way that I can get some buckets? Put the ball in Randall's hands and let him kick it out. Last year, obviously, there was Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker on the team. It kind of started off the same way. I think as the season went on, you've seen the offense expand a little bit. You know, when other guys getting used, you've seen RJ start to be the facilitator on the floor. So you've seen the offense expand, and I think it'll continue to expand. You know, and he's going to you got to coach to the players that you have. And if you don't got guys that can run some things that you want to do, what are you supposed to do? Run it anyway? Even if it, you know, doesn't even have a chance at working. If you want to win games, I think you gotta use the players that you got, coach to their abilities, and when you get more players, start to coach to their abilities as well. You know, you got to coach to the ability of your players.
Yeah. DJ Shuttle.
And the experience of your players. I mean,
Yeah.
you got all these young players, you know, and no, like giving the ball, he's going to get a bucket kind of player. The best you had was Randall, and you know, and I was putting him above and beyond his capabilities. I don't know. I'm kind of missing what people don't like about Tibbs. I mean, he's tough. His teams play hard and they play tough more often than not. Even these 2 seasons with the Knicks, he came to a team that hadn't done anything in forever and took the team to the playoffs when they had no business even going to the playoffs with that roster. And you also have to keep in mind when this whole mentality of this whole narrative, play the kids, don't play the young people. Yo, that is so wrong. Derrick Rose was a high pick, and guess what? He played. Luol Deng was, you know, not a superstar, but he was out there balling. Noah, he was out there balling. Young players in Chicago. Same thing in Minnesota. Young players played. But, you know, you got to have the ability and you got to earn it. Not to mention, you know, the coach has to do some of what the management tells him to do. Like the management can't say, yo, listen, I'm not worried about the young players. Go out there and win some games. Whatever you do, win some games. So you know what he's going to do? He's going to go out there and win some games despite what, you know, everybody else is, you know, in the chat saying, play the kids, play the kids. Not to mention, it's a team full of kids anyway. So it's like when you say play the kids, like, what the hell are you talking about? Everybody's young. You understand what I'm saying? The whole team is young. You know, Rose is the only guy over 30.
Only player over 30.
Rose is the only guy that's over 30. What are you talking about? Brunson's 25. RJ's 22. Mitch is 23. I mean, like what do you want? what do you really want? So yes, could there be an opportunity to hold Randall more accountable and crack the whip on him, have a little shorter leash here
Yes.
and there? Listen, Obi really wasn't where he needed to be year one. Year two, progressively he got better. Going into year three, now as a coach, I have the confidence to be like, listen, fam, like you got to tighten up, and you out and bring Obi in. Now you don't even have to wait for there to be issues. You could just say, listen, I don't want Randall to get tired. I'm gonna sub him out earlier because Obi's proven now. You don't just play him just to play him. And that's been my issue with what I've been hearing from the fans is like, yeah, you just want people to just play just for the sake of playing. Like, fam, you got to earn your minutes, and that's how Coach Tibbs is. That's why the summer league rotation was the way that was. And that's why, you're going to get the best players playing that give you the best chance to win. If you don't know about that, then you don't know the infamous words of my man, Herm Edwards. You
You
play
play to
in
win
the
the
game.
game.
I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Good point. Good point. Staffer.
um. So we talking about Coach Tibbs, right?
Yeah. How confident in you are you in his ability to get the most out of the players this year? Do you think he's going to be better, worse, the same? How confident are you?
Um. Well, given last year, he's seen his mistakes. I think he should coach better and will coach better. I think he will have Randall be more accountable in the things that he does. Um, One of the things I just have a slight worrisome about is his rotations, because that was a big thing with Tibbs last year, his rotations and how he managed them. So I'm hoping that he does a much better job when it comes to bringing in and subbing in players, especially with Randall not playing the whole 12 minutes, as you were saying earlier, Queen. Sit him out at the 8 minute, and to Shuttle's point, bringing in Obi, you know, um, at that point in time, and also too, you know, these guys also have to step up their game. The Obies, the IQs, the Grimes, the Mitches, especially on the defensive end and on the offensive end, and make the coaching staff look good. Because the coach is not out there playing; it's the players that's out there playing. So coach, he has to make these guys be more accountable, especially Randall, of his game. Um, RJ now, he has to be a little more, uh, I want to say, uh, selfish, but more aggressive, you know. And that's another thing too, because there's only one ball, and you got three dominant players, which is Randall, RJ, and Brunson. So that's one of the things I'll be looking at too, to see how the ball is going to be distributed, as far as the whole scoring, who is going to have the ball most of not most of the time, but the go-to guy. If when Randall plays for the first 8 minutes, is he going to get the ball, and then they bring him out, and then RJ handles it. So that's one of the things I want to see. The most important thing is that rotation, and to see how the ball is going to be distributed, and how the scoring is going to take effect, and how we're going to score. So coach, he has his hands full this season, and it's going to be very interesting to see, you know, what kind of plays he's going to be dialing up for these guys, you know. So yeah, that's my thing on Tibbs, man. He it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, I'm confident in Tibbs, and I think he will be better this season, for sure. But the one thing I think, well, let me just specify. I think that his offense will be better, and I'm expecting him to use Brunson in ways that help him, to use Fournier in ways that help him, and to construct the offense in a way that it is much more versatile. That being said, the Knicks got plenty of shots and missed, so let's see. But I'm confident in that. I'm confident that the Knicks will be a very good defensive team. Top 10, maybe even top 5 defensively. I'm confident in that. I'm confident that they're going to play hard, that they're not going to give up. But this is what I will say. Players make coaches look good. Tibbs was the same Tibbs, making these same decisions, being pretty inflexible the year we went to the playoffs. It's just that we were winning, so some fans may not have noticed it, but I noticed it. He was the same player. So, if the players play better, makes the coach look good. They're not even in
Yeah,
tight
definitely.
situations. They're not even in this tight situations where you're worrying about, oh, he should have kept so-and-so in while he was hot so that we could have got the advantage. You got players out there that's playing well. You have leads and things like that. The coaching doesn't look as bad. Everybody talks about how good a coach Steve Kerr is, how good a coach Pop is. When Steph Curry and Klay Thompson went down,
Thompson.
Golden State went right to the lottery 2 years in a row. You understand? Same thing with Pop. Everybody talk about how great Pop is. Okay, I don't disagree with that. I like both of them. I like some of the things that they do much different than Tibbs. But the bottom line is you have to have the players. Once Manu, Parker, all of those guys left, where did they go? Right to the lottery. So it's about having players also, that can play. But I'm pretty confident. I think he will be better than last year. And this is the thing about whether he'll get fired. I think Tibbs is tied to that front office. And I've said this before. If you're an owner, I think they have 2 years left on their contract, both of them. I'm not firing Tibbs when I'm not clear on you as a front office, because I'm not going to hire somebody for 1 or 2 years when I'm not even sure if you're going to be around. So then if I don't bring you back, now I got this new coach that you hired. I'm bringing in another general manager who may or may not like this coach, and I may have to wind up firing him. Right. So I think that if Tibbs is fired, it's that's a telltale sign that this front office is coming back. That's how a logical front office. I don't know about Dolan owner would do. I can't see them getting off of Tom Thibodeau when you're not sure about bringing this front office back. Because if I'm not sure, I'm waiting, and I'm gonna keep Tom Thibodeau, and I'm gonna make my decision on whether or not I'm gonna keep you as a front office. Then we can make the Tom Thibodeau decision.
And furthermore, Steph, when you look at this team in the Eastern Conference compared to all the other teams, like just look at roster comparison, and that's an episode that I want to do.
Yes, we will do that. I was trying to wait to
closer
season where we kind of see what the other team's roster is going to be. Yeah,
got you. But like if I'm being fair, like I think anything past an 8 seed is maybe pushing it. So if you're looking at a team that's maybe a 9 or a 10 seed, and the team wins 37, 40 games, 41 games. You want the coach to be fired on a team that has a roster that is, arguably eighth best in the conference? You want the coach to be fired when his roster is eighth best in the conference, ninth best in the conference? Come on, like we gotta be realistic here. Like part
But
of
if he
part of
loses the team and we win like 25 games, that's a whole
that's
other story.
that's a different thing. If they're wilding on the sidelines and things like that.
Right.
But
Right.
Tibbs has no history of that. The players, if you had to consider who's the franchise player, it's arguably RJ. RJ speaks only highly of Tibbs. Nobody speaks negatively of Tibbs on the team. They play hard for him. They continuously are one of the top defending teams. Like I can tell you as a player, like I'm not going to be playing hard on defense just because I like to play defense. You know what I mean? Part of that is going to be the camaraderie of the team and being an extension of the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like to me, no way Tibbs is on the hot seat, and I don't really see management being on the hot seat either because they had a big fish. They went for it. We know how this goes in New York City on the Knicks team. Dolan was looped in, and he gave final sign off or lack of sign off on a deal getting done. So if I am ownership and I didn't give you the sign off on a big fish deal, I can't then in turn put you on the hot seat. Illogical. So I think that as long as the team puts an honest effort, they're at least in battle for the play-in, if not make the play-in. I think both management and the coaches is safe.
All right. Any last words? Anything that you want to add about anything we discussed today? Maybe it was a point you wanted to make that you didn't get to. Anything you want to add?
I mean, go ahead, son.
Nah, I was just saying I don't think so. I don't think so. Not for me, at least.
The only thing that was on the list that we didn't touch on, I was disappointed, was rebounding, which I do feel. I
Touch on it
think,
briefly if you want to.
yeah, I think that I love RJ's rebounding as a small forward. I love his rebounding. For all that Randall does that we question, he gets rebounds. I need Mitch to step up rebounding this year, and I think Brunson is a fairly decent rebounder for a small point guard. So, I think I'm going in at about a 7 on rebounding, but that is an area that I'd like to see us focus and improve on, and then get the fast break going.
I mean, I think we'll be better with Hartenstein. I'm hoping. I think he's a pretty decent rebounder.
Very aggressive on
and
the
it's
boards.
those defensive rebounds as well. So I think between him and Mitch, I think we're going to be really good defensively at the center position. And if Sims have to play situational minutes, I think we'll be good with the rebounding. Randall obviously is a really good rebounder. I think we were in the top 5 in rebounding in the league, I want to say.
I think
RJ's
you were.
so I think rebounding we're going to be. I don't think we're going to be worse. We might even be better.
Yeah.
My last thing is just to see the ball distribution, how we gonna start off. Is it gonna start off with RJ? Is it gonna start off with Randall? Is Brunson gonna take the first shot? I just want to see how the offense is gonna flow, and I want to see some new wrinkles in the offense and see how easy we can score. So my whole thing is just coming down to the coach, the last thing, which is Coach Tibbs and the staff, and see what type of uh, set plays um, we're gonna put in for this season. So that's one of the main things that I want to see, because I said before, we have 3 dominant ball players, and each of them gonna want to have the ball, and it's just one ball. So I want to see how the coach is going to start off with that.
Yeah. Just seems like it's been a really, really long off season. So I'm really excited about
As it's been a really long off season.
yeah, the preseason. October 4th, the Knicks have their first preseason game. October 19th is the first game against Memphis at Memphis. And then the 21st is the first home game versus Detroit. Sam, any more tickets left for
I think
the
that
event, or we sold out?
I think there's 4 left. Yeah, I think there's about 4 left.
All
And
right.
what date is that for?
That's for what is it? October 21st?
Oh,
October
game
21st,
one.
first home game.
First home game. First
Yeah.
home.
I'm torn on that. I'm torn on that one, Sim.
Yeah. I mean, and if you were with us last year, you know, do we know where it's going to be yet? Not yet.
Yeah, Legends.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we have that live podcast at Legends. Then we go to the game.
Yeah.
And then we come back.
It's gonna be nice. This time they're giving us downstairs.
Okay.
And you know, downstairs it's better because it's a little more isolated. So the sound from what's happening upstairs won't really affect us as much. Where when we're upstairs, when we're up on that 3rd floor, there's no walls.
Right.
So the sound from everyone else downstairs, travels up to us. But this time we'll be downstairs. Obviously, we got our own bar down there, just like upstairs. You got our own bar, but own bar down.
It's a separate room.
It's a separate room. You go to the door. You go down to the left, and it's a separate bar down there. It's not little codes for people to sit. It's nice. I'm asking all the podcasters, if they have banners, to bring their banners,
Mhm.
so they can put their banners up
Mhm.
down there. And we'll have all the whole area filled with podcasters, banners up, and it's gonna be pretty dope.
Yeah. And listen, for those who don't have tickets to the game, it's a nice sports bar.
Yeah.
If you want to do the be present for our live pregame podcast, then stay there and have a viewing party and watch the game. We'll be back after the game, post-game live podcast. So even if you don't have tickets to the game, you could stay there. It could be a group of people just doing a viewing party while we at the game. We'll be back.
Hey, no doubt. It's definitely dope. It's a nice spot.
Yeah, definitely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Wednesday, me and Tony Crow will be doing the crossover. Anybody else have any announcements before we get out of here? No.
Knicks Vibes Only podcast will be kicking off October 11th. So stand by, bringing you some of your favorite DJs, producers, rappers, singers, actors to chop up New York Knicks. So stand by for that.
Oh, definitely. Next time, drop the link. Yeah, Greg, go Giants. Yeah, next time.
And to